We were never taught that life has rules. And most of us, we were never shown them. We were taught to work hard, be responsible, do our best. But what if the issue isn't effort? What if it's that most of what we do resets every day and a few things, just a few things, actually stack? So today isn't about motivation. It's about seeing the rules clearly and deciding whether this way of playing the game of life actually makes sense to you. Life rewards the wrong things every day because you can work hard, you can be responsible, and you can be smart, like I said, and still feel like you're not getting ahead. Most of what we do every day is actually for yesterday, and a few things quietly are compounding. And the people who win financially, they're not better, they're just compounding and stacking. And here's the part that most people miss: restarting doesn't feel dangerous to you, it actually feels responsible. It feels like you're thinking things through. But resets compound too, just in the wrong direction. And as only years pass, not dramatically, but progressive momentum never actually starts. You're not lazy. You've just spending energy on things that don't remember you, don't remember your work, because you're already working hard. The real issue is this: most of what you do are one of those actions that reset every day. Work gets done, your effort gets spent, but then tomorrow starts at zero. Most of life actually rewards what's easy and repeatable, but a small part rewards what's hard but compounding. And over time, the second group, the hard but compounding, quietly creates separation. And so this is the compound effect. There's nothing wrong with work. Work is how the world functions. But most of work, that what we do, have this one built-in property that when you stop working, the income stops too. That doesn't mean that work wasn't valuable. It just means that the work we were doing are the work that's actually resetting. Yesterday's effort paid for yesterday. So the work isn't the problem. This cycle is. Now, here's the question most people never got shown how to ask: what if while you're working, you're also building something that doesn't reset? What if part of your effort actually stayed behind and made tomorrow a little bit easier instead of harder? And so that's the difference between effort that disappears and effort that actually compounds. So I'd like to share a quick video montage of the reality of this consistency, consistency of work. And I want you to notice something as you watch this, because no one here is going to be talking about motivation. They're all describing repetition inside a structure. Here's the video.
If you go to the gym and you work out and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing. And if you go to the gym the next day and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing, right? Clearly there's no results, can't be measured, it must not be effective. So we quit, right? Or if you fundamentally believe that this is the right course of action and you stick with it, you commit yourself to an act of service. You commit yourself to the regime, the exercise. You can screw it up. You can eat chocolate cake one day, you can skip a day or two. You know, it allows for that. But if you stick with it consistently, I'm not exactly sure what day, but I know you'll start getting into shape. I know it. Going to the gym for 9 hours does not get you into shape. Working out every day for 20 minutes gets you into shape. It's not about the events. It's not about intensity. It's about consistency.
The most important thing, it's the consistency. If you start today, you're gonna have benefits in the future. The most important thing, it's the consistency. If you have consistency, you're gonna be good in the future, or you're gonna be better than other ones in the future. If you are not consistent more than other ones, if you don't add something more than other ones, you're never gonna be number one like me. If you want to achieve successful, it's the only way.
And dreams without goals
Come
are
on.
just dreams.
Come on.
And ultimately, they fuel disappointment.
Exactly.
On the road to achieving your dreams, you must apply discipline,
Discipline, come
but
on.
more importantly, consistency. Because without commitment, you'll never start, but without consistency, you'll never finish.
No one cheers for you not drinking for a day, not smoking on a long drive, or not overeating for one night. No single workout or meal is going to be impressive on its own. The reason so few people understand success and becoming successful and getting to where they want to go is because consistency never looks impressive in the moment, only at the end.
I always equated working out to struggle. And I struggled my whole life, but I ran from it. So I started realizing, man, I got to start facing the struggle, and I got to be mentally strong for the struggle. So that's where I started coming up with, like, I'm training for life. Mentally, I'm training for life. And I found out on my own pretty much, is that through discipline, through self-discipline, through repetition, through tons of repetition of the same thing that you don't want to do, and that's the key thing. Through repetition of things you don't want to do, you develop mental, like an armor for your mind. You start to armor your mind, because your mind's like, okay, we suffer every day. That's what we do. We do stuff that sucks every day. So then when the suck stuff comes, you're ready for it.
So how do you build an armor for your mind? See, the thing is, none of these people rely on motivation. You saw Ronaldo, Denzel, Hormozy, David Goggins, Simon Sinek. They rely on systems that remove choice. And so what you just watched isn't proof that you need more intensity. It's proof that consistency always wins. When the environment makes it inevitable. I'm going to unlock 3 secrets. And secret number 1 is this: insight doesn't create change, systems do. Well, let me ask you something. Do you actually believe you can't find the information? Do you actually believe you don't know enough? Or is the real issue is that what you know, you didn't repeat? Insight isn't rare. Consistency is. We don't fail because we don't do what we do. We fail because we don't do the same thing, and it's a little bit hard, repeatedly. How many times have you restarted something that already worked? Restarting feels productive, but restarting doesn't compound. This isn't a character flaw, it's a structural problem. Most people already have clarity. This should actually feel relieving, because if clarity were the issue, more information would fix it, but it doesn't. Our activities don't compound because most daily action resets. This explains why people, they feel exhausted but without progress. Busy is not the same thing as compounding. If yesterday doesn't carry into today, then you're restarting every morning. Without systems, responsibility resets instead of compounding. And that's why you run out of willpower, because real willpower, it resets daily. But systems, they don't. Systems are how effort is preserved, and without them, responsibility has leakage. It leaks. It says here, discipline isn't force, it's design. Discipline isn't intensity. It's not trying harder. You don't force discipline. You design a system. You go into an environment that's disciplined. So consistency is not actually a personality trait. It's an environment. People behave consistently inside consistent systems. You just enter that environment as you're listening today. Consistency becomes inevitable when responsibility is systematized. This is the bridge. When responsibility is embedded, something called drift or drifting disappears and motivation becomes irrelevant because outcomes stop being optional. They become inevitable by design. In a McDonald's, a Big Mac's going to be done. A French fry is going to be done. It's inevitable by design behind the system. So the future won't belong to those who know more, but to those who operate consistently. Knowledge is so abundant. Knowledge right now is literally free. You have YouTube University and now AI. Knowledge has never been cheaper than it's ever been. But consistency and reliability, now that's rare. Those who build something win because they repeat. Let's talk about repetition and iteration. Consistency doesn't come from motivation. It comes from these two things working together: repetition and iteration. Repetition is doing the same action again and again daily. Iteration is improving how that action works over time. Maybe you're adding more weights on your bench press. Maybe you're running on a faster pace. Most people repeat without improving. Others improve ideas but never repeat long enough. Consistency only shows up when both are present: repetition and iteration. Everything you've observed here so far is built on a simple foundation we call MESS. MESS. It stands for map, identity, execution, system, and signal. M for map is the correct direction. It's not motivation, it's not goals, direction. What is true, what is proven to be right. I for identity, it's who you need to be. Behavior follows identity, not information. The most powerful force in the universe is for someone to stay consistent with their identity. E stands for execute, which is action under friction. Action is 10 times more powerful than understanding. S is for system. What runs without willpower, not effort? A system that runs. And lastly, S for signal, the feedback of reality. It's not your feelings about what you're thinking or what you're doing. It's not opinions, actual signal. What is reality saying? Most people stop at understanding. Read the books, watch the podcasts. We design for execution. MESS is this methodology. Execution is the gate. Nothing in the system works without execution. Knowledge is only potential power. Understanding actually expires. Execution compounds. If you don't act, the system rejects you. And so from this point forward, nothing that you hear matters unless it shows up in action. You don't need more insight. Just like I said, we design for consistency with a map. The identity governs the behavior. The system helps with the execution, and the signal tells the truth. Does this way of operating resonate with you? See, most people try to predict the future by thinking, by planning, by analyzing, but prediction doesn't come from thought. It comes from execution. When action is consistent, the direction is stable. The future becomes predictable, not because of motivation, but because compounding takes over. So now we go to part two, the system that makes consistency inevitable. Here's the real problem. And this is not a pitch. You're not expected to decide anything today. The only job that you have to do is observe how this system works. This is where we reveal secret number two. Most action resets, only direction actually compounds. You work hard. The reason you're probably inside watching this because you're a professional, responsible. Your effort is not the problem. It's already present. It's been present for a very long time. And if you're watching this, you're not one of those lazy ones. But what's interesting is your income actually increase over time. Your income's been going up. Your career has been progressing. Your skills have been improving. So why doesn't financial freedom follow income? Why does progress in wealth feel fragile? And why does it somehow resets too? The default habit loop is earn, spend, repeat. This loop runs automatically. No one chooses it intentionally. It runs unless interrupted by design. And here's what makes it a habit loop. Income shows up, spending happens, and you feel some level of relief. You see the paycheck. That relief is short term. It feels like progress, but nothing is being built. So the loop repeats. Income alone doesn't create freedom. Income solves today. Assets solve the future. Confusing the two creates a perpetual, permanent effort. And most people are rich on paper at some point in their lives. You know, raises happen, careers advance, income grows, but wealth isn't what comes in. Wealth is what stays. And what stays is determined by the system that you built, not effort. And it says here on the slide, rich is what you make. Wealth is what you keep and build. We keep on repeating this word that most action resets because most of us, we take action daily. Work happens every day. You go to work, probably drive to work, but not all action compounds, especially when the system being built doesn't belong to you. That you're working inside a system that is not designed to be yours. So when the daily work ends inside the system, the next day starts at zero. The effort was spent, but it wasn't stored. Compounding action is different. Compounding action leaves something behind. It builds a system. It compounds towards tomorrow. It compounds towards the future so that tomorrow becomes easier than today. So let me introduce a concept called wealth architecture, which is the buildings of systems, not motivation systems, not personality driven systems, execution systems that compound the daily work that you're going to be putting in. Cash flow is king, is what they say. But net worth is kingdom. Cash flow matters. It pays the bills, it funds life, it creates flexibility. But here's the distinction most people never see: a king can die, a kingdom lives on. Cash flow without growing a base depends on constant presence. Net worth keeps producing, even when no one's watching. It's to build something that survives you. That's what systems do. They turn cash flow into kingdom. We build wealth operating systems. Now, let me be very clear about what you're looking at here. This is not a product presentation. This is not just motivation or advice. What we run here is an operating system for your life, for your finances, and it most likely will trickle down to different parts of your life. The same way your phone runs on an operating system, the same way your computer runs on an OS, the same way a business runs on a software, the same way a football team runs their offense or their defense. This is a system. The results aren't going to come from effort alone. They come from the system actually producing the effort and produces the output. Most people try to improve results without changing their systems. And so they try to improve the outcome, but then they never change the system that was producing the outcome. And that's why the effort, as much as they continue, it doesn't compound. So the motivation fades and they're still going to be busy, but still stay stuck. When there's no system, you're going to have to rely on willpower, and willpower will always lose to a system all the time, all day long. A well operating system answers these questions before action. Where do I start? That's the map. What governs behavior without emotion? That's identity. What is the action that needs to be done? That is the execution. What drives consistency? That's the engine in the system. How do I measure progress versus drift? That's signal. And how does effort convert into assets? That's not motivation, that's direction. Which brings us to the third secret. Wealth is built with two systems, not one, two. This system builds two assets, not just goals. There's no hype, a system that will generate cash flow and direct the cash flow to build your kingdom. The first asset of the system is a business system. Not just a business with an operating system. A business system exists for one reason: to produce income consistently without your willpower. And the key distinction is this: it's not dependent on your personality, it's not dependent on your background, it's not dependent on your skill set or your education. When the result depends on personality, when the income in a business depends on personality, results are going to vary wildly. But when income depends on a system, the results become predictable. This asset creates movement. It turns action into cash flow without requiring you to invent anything. A low friction business system. Low friction matters. It means the system doesn't rely on personality. It doesn't require long hours. It doesn't require building something from scratch, pulling out a loan from your mortgage. It's not designed for you to spend tons of money. It's designed to be operated part time, not invented. And that's what's going to make the consistency possible. As a number two, a portfolio system. This is going to be capital that compounds, structured accumulation, and later converted into income. It's designed to avoid this black hole that's sucking your money, this invisible force that's eating all your hard earned dollars away. Business creates the income, but income alone doesn't stay. Without a system, this cash will leak. And so the systems decide where this cash is going to go. And only cash that reaches this portfolio has the ability to compound. This is why consistency matters. Not consistency of effort, consistency of direction. When the direction is stable, results compound automatically. This operating system exists to lock direction so effort stops resetting. There are four ways people move inside the system. This isn't about choosing a path. These movements already exist inside. People don't select them intellectually, they reveal them through execution. These aren't options, they're roles inside a system. And roles are revealed by the movement, not just the intention. So before I show you the four paths, there's something important to understand. These are choices you're not being asked to make today. These roles inside this system, they're not decisions on some form. People who choose these roles, they grow into them through exposure, execution, and experience. And each part has a required action within 48 hours. No action means no path. The first path: operate the business system. Some people start by operating it right away, the business system. And this path is about testing the execution inside the structure. There's no long term commitment. We're going to do this for 1 week. No ownership decisions. Just follow a low friction system exactly designed and watch what happens when the execution is consistent. Path number 2, use the portfolio system. Some people who see this observation, they start with the portfolio system. They already earn income. What they lack is an effort. They're producing the income. It's the direction of the money, the cash flow, the protection, the compounding. This path applies the system to the existing cash flow that you generate. And you don't need the first path. You don't need to run the business system at all on path number 2. The third path, I don't call it path 3, but the path of 3. Execution, cash flow, compounding, which is essentially means applied on a business and a portfolio. This is not about doing more. It's about running 3 systems in full alignment. Execution governs the behavior, the business creates the cash flow, and then the direction of the investing compounds. When all 3 run together, momentum stops resetting, and you have full on wealth creation momentum. And path 4, invite 3 to observe. Some people start here, not to convince, not to sell anything, simply to share what you saw today. Teaching clarifies thinking. And so execution will be learned because it's what gets accelerated in this community. These aren't personality based paths, they're different starting points inside the same system. You're not locked into one, you're simply revealing how you want to move right now. So if you watch this far, you don't need more information. What you've just seen, it's not a pitch. This is an environment. There's 100,000 people currently using this environment. And this environment only works when momentum only starts immediately, not perfectly, not confidently, just immediately. Momentum is more important than perfection. And so, no matter which part you start with, the system begins the same way. There is a 48-hour execution window. This is not a commitment, it's a system test, not to pressure you, but for you to see how the system performs when momentum is fresh. Clarity is very common, momentum is rare. The next 48 hours is going to tell the truth. We don't chase motivation, we measure execution. And so there is a filter. Maybe you're feeling it right now because this isn't about effort. It's about whether you can move when nothing is forcing you. This filters hesitation, not people. And it reveals whether you're ready to transform your operating system. You will not do this alone. An operator support lead will guide the next step. Answer questions. Make sure you're executing, not guessing. This is not a sales conversation, it's execution support. So before we finish, I want to say something briefly. And this is personal to me. I'm a logic first person. I build systems. I believe consistency beats motivation every time. I'm not doing this because I'm chasing fulfillment. I already have joy with my family. That's my foundation. I do this because too many good people are stuck in survival mode unnecessarily. The system exists to remove financial chaos so health, happiness, and meaning have room to exist. That's why you won't do this alone. If you move within the 48-hour window, you stay inside this environment. But if you don't, nothing bad happens. You're choosing simply to not enter a system that runs on momentum right now. And that's okay. No execution equals reset. If nothing is executed, nothing's going to carry you forward. No identity shift. But you're not going to be judged. You're not going to be punished. You're simply unchanged. And your next version remains unlocked. So we end this video here. You're going to see the orientation page right below the video. And the next steps and the 4 paths will be explained clearly. Follow the instructions exactly as written. Once that step is complete, an operator support lead will reach out to help you finish the execution test. My name's AJ Garcia. I'm looking forward to working with you.